Just when you thought it was safe to go into the water, we come up with this video. Just kidding. If you're careful and take the necessary precautions, you'll be fine. Maybe. And think, if anybody did want to dive down deep, we wouldn't have made these discoveries, would we? Either way, hold your breath, take a dive into some of the most amazing underwater discoveries just recently made. A rare shark. In some parts of the world, finding sharks for sale in fish markets is pretty common. However, one sighting at a fish market in Mumbai, India caused a massive stir among marine biologists. According to reports, the said shark's extremely rare and hasn't been seen, much less caught, in over a decade. The shark in question was thought to be a Ganges shark, an extremely rare creature that can only be found in the Ganges and Brahmaputra rivers in India and Bangladesh. I mean, they think it was this kind of shark, but scientists only had photos to go by. Scientists tried to find the carcass as soon as the news broke, but all the parts of the fish had already been sold off before they got a chance to get a sample. Ganges sharks are amazing creatures. They're the only species of shark that live exclusively in fresh water. They're often mistaken for bull sharks, and they're the species that regularly swim upriver. And given how aggressive these sharks are, they've been known to be man-eaters after all, and some locals kill them on sight. That might be the reason why the Ganges shark is so rare. They're mistaken for something that it isn't. Now, if what was found in that fish market in India was indeed a Ganges shark, the question is, are there still more of them out there, or was that the last one? Hair gel, manicure, and murder. Ever heard of bogmen? They're mummified remains of humans found buried deep beneath bogs, which in a nutshell are peat wetlands that can be found all over northwest Europe. These bogs apparently are the perfect place to mummify human remains, providing cold, acidic, and oxygen-free conditions that prevent decay. Since the first of the bogmen was discovered in 1871, around 122 individual mummies have been found. But none of them have sparked quite the mystery as these two individuals that were found in Ireland in 2003. These bogmen were found completely by accident by workers at two separate peat workings just 25 miles apart. One of them, which is basically a headless torso, was so well preserved that police were called in first to start a murder investigation. But then archaeologists were called instead. It was found in Croghan Hill and thus was given the name Old Croghan Man. He had well-manicured nails and his hands and fingers bore no signs of him doing any kind of manual labor. Also had no scars, leading investigators to think that he was a member of the upper echelon of society around 2,000 years ago. The second man had a head, and what makes him very interesting is the fact that he showed signs of wearing what appeared to be ancient hair gel, a mixture of pine resin and vegetable plant oil. Alright, so the Iron Age men of Ireland practiced good hygiene, but that's not what's shocking here. Scientists actually think that both men were brutally murdered, possibly even sacrificed while they were in their early 20s. Old Croghan was decapitated, obviously, but he also had holes cut into his arms where a rope was threaded through. He was also cut in half at the torso. The second man received axe blows to the head and chest and was disemboweled. What could these two have done in life to deserve such a gruesome death? I never know. Big Boon or Big Boom? Many wars in the past have been fought over the control of natural resources. Wars like that are still being fought today, albeit with more discussions and agreements rather than swords and arrows. One such war has been silently going on regarding the waters of the Philippine Sea. And what are the spoils? The biggest deposit of natural gas that has ever been found. Back in 2017, a joint survey conducted by the Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Tech, the Korean Institute of Ocean and Science Tech, and the Philippines Department of Science and Tech found the biggest deposit of natural gas and other minerals. This was all under the Benham Rise, an underwater plateau located in the waters off the coast of the Philippines' Cagayan Valley region. Aside from the methane gas, they also found platinum deposits estimated to go upwards of 2,000 metric tons. The Philippines has already claimed the Benham Rise, which was approved by the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea in 2012. That would make you think that the country would be benefiting from the abundance of natural resources there, but not quite. You see, many other countries, such as China and the US, have expressed interest in that part of the ocean, so basically everything is still in limbo right now. International politics aside, this could be a big boon for the Philippines and it could become a major world economic hub like Dubai, but there's an underlying danger to all of this. You see, methane is a highly explosive gas, and the thought of 2,000 tons of it exploding is pretty much unimaginable. A case in point is the Upper Big Branch mine explosion in West Virginia in 2010. This explosion was caused by methane gas and was one of the worst mining disasters in history. So whether the Philippines manages to mine the rich deposit of minerals there or the methane dramatically explodes, it'll be shocking either way. Underwater zoo. The idea of an underwater zoo might not sound amazing at first, but let me tell you, this next shocking underwater discovery is nothing less than appalling. March 2016, a group of divers was out exploring the waters just off the coast of the island of Kokoya, Indonesia, when they stumbled upon something so gut-wrenching they wouldn't forget it for the rest of their lives. In the water were two submerged cages holding two dugongs, also known as sea cows. It was a mother and a calf pair, and not only were they kept in separate cages, they were chained to the tail as well. Whoever put them there definitely didn't want them to escape. The two were snapped up by a local fisherman who kept them in cages because he was charging tourists to interact with them. Looks like the two had been kept there for quite some time. The ropes used to bind them were torn, and there were deep scars on the mother dugong's tail. The divers desperately pleaded with the fisherman to release the poor animals, and while he did resist at first, he promised the divers he would release the animals. Of course, never trust a conman, because they were still doubtful about the pending release, and one of the divers, Dilon Lim, posted the photos he took of the dugong to social media. Within hours, he was contacted by wildlife authorities asking for the location of the dugongs, which he gladly gave them. When authorities arrived at the scene the next day, the dugongs were still being kept captive. With no other options left for him, the fisherman reluctantly released both animals. It's unclear whether he received punishment for keeping such magnificent creatures bound and captive, but I'd like to think that he did. At least in terms of revenue as well. Glow-in-the-dark giant. We all know that in the deepest parts of the ocean, sunlight barely exists. This has forced most of the creatures living in these depths to create their own light called bioluminescence. Thing is, most creatures who can produce light are minuscule, but not the kitefin shark, oh no. This guy can grow to a whopping 6 feet long and is currently the largest bioluminescent vertebrate known to man. Now, these sharks like deep water and live in depths between 200 meters to 900 meters below the surface of the ocean. It's a powerful and solitary predator that eats just about anything living or dead for that matter. It's long been thought that these sharks would gladly feed on carrion if the opportunity presented itself. It even has the guts and temerity of taking a chunk out of animals that are larger than itself, of which there are plenty in the depths where it lives. That's basically everything that we know about these fascinating creatures, and that's even though we've known about this creature since 1788. You see, it's pretty hard to observe them in their natural habitat, and that's why every specimen, even dead ones, is precious to science. So just imagine the excitement caused when this shark was photographed for the very first time producing its own light. Photo was taken in January 2020 by Dr. Jerome Malafit of the Catholic University of Louvain, Belgium. He was invited to join a trip to survey the different fish species living in the Chatham Rise, a deep part of the ocean off the coast of New Zealand's South Island. The kitefin was caught while they were trawling the seabed, and this rare photograph was taken by Malafit while the shark was in a bucket inside a dark cabin in their ship. Even more amazing, they found two more glow-in-the-dark shark species on the same trip. These would be the black-belly lantern shark and the southern lantern shark. They were also caught and were photographed while glowing, but it's the kitefin that took the scientific world by storm. Jason Voorhees. I kid you not, my friends, Jason frickin' Voorhees. You know, that guy from that series of amazing slasher movies? The one with the hockey mask? Yeah, that guy. Well, he was and can still be found at the bottom of a lake. Not Crystal Lake, of course, that place is mostly fictional, but in the submerged old mining pit in Crosby, Minnesota. Okay, it's not really the Jason Voorhees, but a lifelike statue of him instead. Real or not, something about it really does send shivers down your spine. And who was the mastermind behind this eerie tribute? Well, according to reports, it was built by diver Doug Klein. It's been at the bottom of the Luis mine pit since 2013 and hasn't been moved from its watery grave for the past 10 years. It's since become a very popular diving site, although I can imagine it scaring the bejesus out of anyone seeing it for the first time, even if they knew it was there and were expecting to be startled. The statue was built to be just like Jason in the ending sequence of the 6th Friday the 13th installment. That one's Jason Lives, by the way. There's a lot of these movies. In the movie, Jason was seen chained up at the bottom of Crystal Lake, the place where he first died. Of course, the character's been resurrected quite a number of times, and if you were following his exploits closely, then you'll know that he'd been to Manhattan, raised hell in outer space, and even the depths of hell itself. See you all next time!